do science. They don't understand science. They're clueless. Let's look at what the problems are with the creationists, okay? I'm trying, I'll grab the mic. Can you hear me better now? Okay. Problem with creationism I want to go over briefly. Bad logic, bad facts, bad science, bad theology. So let's look at them in order. Okay? First of all, here's an example of creationist logic. Well, it's just, can we turn those lights off over the, just those one set of blackboard lights? That's perfect. Okay. Here's an example of creationist logic. No physical evidence, such as photographs, exists of George Washington. No one alive has ever seen George Washington, have they? Has anybody here ever seen George Washington? Any historians actually ever seen George Washington? No. Only man-made documents exist. And you know what? Some of those documents are forgeries. Following creationist logic, we must therefore conclude George Washington did not exist. Look, that's not the way science works. Okay? Science is a process of debate between alternative explanations. If you're going to challenge evolution, you've got to come up with a better theory, one that offers explanations. Now, I know that Dr. Hovind has a $250,000, it's still $250,000? I'll make it $1 million. $1 million, well, all right. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I haven't got to my challenge yet. I mentioned also bad fact. Here's what the creationists do about the facts. First thing they'll do, they'll say it's just microevolution. Now, I teach evolution. All right, I never talk about macroevolution because, in fact, macroevolution are one and the same thing. Give enough time, you can turn anything into anything. Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. It's proven. You got the fossil record. It shows all the steps. Now, if he can, the problem here is what is a type? You know, he says, okay, a chicken's a chicken. But wait a minute, a chicken's also a bird, right? Birds give rise to birds. It's not that much difference between a chicken and a turkey. Maybe they have a common ancestor, right? And so on back in time till you get to something, Archaeopteryx, right? A bird with a beak. Well, it's just a fossil. Shh. Worse than my students. All right, so typically what the creationists do, they'll deny the existence of tens of thousands of transitional fossils. Go to a museum, look at the fossils yourself. They're there. They are there. They do exist. Scientists who study these things believe they tell a story, just as historians who study documents, which are nothing more than fossils, historical documents are nothing more than historical fossils, except they're made by man. Fossils are actual physical objects, okay? They harp about the occasional error. God, if I hear about the peppered moth one more time, I'm going to vomit. I don't teach the peppered moth. The peppered moth story, we know one thing that we actually measure. The number of black and white morphs changed over time. There are different theories as to exactly why that happened. That's the peppered moth, okay? Same thing with Henkel's diagrams. Come on, we got a lot better pictures of that than that. Biologists didn't quit studying this stuff with Darwin, you know. Typically, you know, the creationists remain ignorant of current research. I just showed you some. You won't hear creationists attacking that because they don't know about it. Whenever a physicist, chemist, geologist, astronomer, zoologist, geneticist, paleontologist, or any other fully qualified scientist makes a discovery that supports evolution, typically creationists ignore it, treat it as some kind of conspiracy, misinterpret it, claim it actually doesn't exist. And this part really gets my goat. They require of evolution perfect data and absolute proof, but accept even the most superficial evidence in their support of their position. The real world and real science is real. You know, there are gaps, there's data. You know, I've done experiments. I've been in the lab, and I've been out and looked at fossil beds. It's a messy business. Let them do as well. Now, the real problem is creationism is not even a proper science. To be a proper science, you have to have an explanation for something that you can test. I looked really hard for a theory of creationism. And this is the best I could come up with. This is a Gary Larson cartoon, and I've studied it very hard, and I understand some of it, but I cannot figure out what the duck is all about. Right? So I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain what the duck, but that's about as close as you get to a scientific theory of creationism. So I get to my challenge. This is my $250,000 to the creationists. Describe a physical mechanism used by the creator, and based upon this mechanism, make a unique prediction that's different from evolution, which can be tested. Now, did the creator work outside of natural law? If you believe that, then fine, that's okay, but don't tell me that's some kind of science. Science is about how things work and trying to understand how things work. If you're going to give me a creation theory, you gotta at least make an effort to tell me how it was done so I can test it. Can't test it. Not science. Construct a realistic computer model that incorporates the known properties of living organisms, including variation, mutation, competition for resources, and the known age of the Earth, I should have added that, which does not lead to evolution. People who do the computer models, out pops evolution, including macroevolution and change of organisms and from one type to another. It's in the computer programs. It's in the math. Creationists don't like it, but then they don't do their own math to counteract it. This one I like, number 4. Construct either a unified theory of creation that brings together all of the creation stories of the world's different religions, or describe a scientific method for determining which one is valid. Now, you know, look, he can believe what he wants too. We all have our right to our beliefs, okay? But if we're talking science, you have to have a means of testing your beliefs against nature, against reality. And if you can't do that, it's not science. Let's talk about, you know, here's a couple of specifics.